My name is Dave Kotinsley, and I'm a tattoo artist here at Anthem Tattoo Parlor.
Jesus Christ! Oh. God damn it again! Did it again.
I started tattooing professionally in 1998 when Body Tech opened. I was trained by Wayne Lassard at Cool World Tattoo. My apprenticeship started in 1997-ish, and I was one of the original owners of Anthem Tattoo Parlor in 2006 when it first opened up. Jeremy approached me about making this fun video. I was wondering what I would talk about, and one of the things that came up for me was how much I love tattoo machines and how much tattoo equipment has changed since I started tattooing. Tattoo machines themselves are so different than potentially they were when I started. Or I shouldn't say they're so different, but there's so many different kinds of tattoo machines now. And when I first began, pretty much everybody was using what we call a coil tattoo machine, which is, I think, what most people think of when they think of a tattoo machine. It buzzes and it uses a needle that's attached to a bar. But now there's many different kinds. There's rotary machines and pen machines. People, want to have like super strident opinions about, what technology is the best, but ultimately I kind of think that there's no cheating in tattooing. You either do the tattoo well, and when it's over, the tattoo looks good, or you don't. It doesn't matter. No one thinks like, wow, this tattoo is really mediocre, but thank God he used this kind of tattoo machine. Or this tattoo is great, but he used this crappy technology. No client or nobody with a tattoo thinks that. When I first started tattooing, we all used coil machines, and there were really, limited ways that you could get a tattoo machine. The supply company that most of my peers used when I first started was called National. They actually just went out of business, and they've been around for a long time. I wouldn't be able to say exactly when they started, but it was the industry standard, and you needed a referral to get a customer number with them and be able to order. But my first tattoo machine came from them, and it came in a kit. You could buy them assembled, but my mentor had me buy the kit, a shader and a liner, and had me assemble them myself. And that was another part of learning to be a tattoo artist at that time, and hopefully still, was that you had to learn how to work on your equipment and put it together yourself. Whereas at some point, overseas manufacturing, tattoo machines suddenly became super affordable and more accessible. You could order them off of the internet, Amazon, and I remember at one point, some guys that I had met who were tattooers down in South Florida were buying tattoo machines by the pound and rebuilding them, just kind of changing out the crappy hardware and turning them into nice tattoo machines. So the marketplace just kind of got flooded with all these coil tattoo machines and then new technologies that were being reverse engineered and manufactured super cheaply. So now there's just this kind of flood of tattoo equipment everywhere. It's easier to find good tattoo equipment now than it was when I first began tattooing. And that's not necessarily a great thing either, I'm still kind of wondering how I think about that.
So this machine is one of my favorite coil machines, and I don't use it a lot, but to me this one's really important in my collection because of tradition. This is made by Scott Sterling, and Scott Sterling got to learn a lot about machines through Paul Rogers, who's one of the most famous machine builders of all time, and he also got to work a little bit with Jerry. So because I respect tradition, having a piece of that lineage in my hands is super important to me, and it's a super cool machine.
This is called a pen tattoo machine, and if we were to remove this housing right here, there's a couple circuit boards in there. I have no idea really how this thing works, but it works really well. As opposed to this, which is a coil tattoo machine right here. This is one of the ones that makes the buzzing noise. And it's a super simple machine. You find this kind of technology in lots of different spots. I don't know what kind of, I think there's a unicorn in there, and the unicorn horn drives a plunger into a tattoo needle. I have a tattoo machine collection, and back to the first tattoo machine that my mentor had me buying a kit. I still have it right here. This is it's called a Deluxe, made by the company National. I think the only thing that's still on here, probably some of the hardware is original, and the frame is definitely original, but it's been rebuilt a couple times by me and then rebuilt by Matt Qualley. It's a beautiful machine. And I had a liner and a shader. The other one belongs to Tim Strating, who been my longtime accomplice here at Anthem Tattoo Parlor. And the design, it's called a Jonesy. The design was made by a tattooer named Bill Jones. And I think that he was tattooing in the North Atlantic in maybe, my tattoo history's terrible, but I think in the early 20th century. I would say that that's probably the most recognizable tattoo machine, maybe, I don't know. Hard to say, but there's lots of different popular tattoo machines are usually named after the shape of their frame or their side plate or something that's kind of unique about the way the frame comes together. And they're all super unique, even amongst, if you had like 10 Jonesy tattoo machines, they would all more than likely have their own unique personality. I would go as far as to say, even if they were all built by the same machine builder, they would have their own unique personality. And that's kind of the beauty of Coil tattoo machines versus the unicorn pen machines, is that is an amazing precision. The unicorn is what I'm pointing at over here, the pen machine. It's, manufactured, it's precise, it's consistent. Whereas, these are usually hand-built or hand-assembled, or if you buy them from tattooers who are building them, they just have their own personality, their own, a little bit more soul, I would say, than the rotary style pen machines.
This is one of my favorite tattoo machines. It's a really old Juan Puente. It's brass. I like the way the armature bar goes up and down with the springs and stuff like that. But yeah, it's really old. It's my shader.
So another machine, and maybe we'll show you the whole drawer here at some point. But this was a machine when my tattoo career turned 20. My coworkers here bought this for me from a Florida tattoo supply company called Lucky's. And this style machine would be called a Bulldog. And what makes it different, you can see some similarities there. The Jonesy has this kind of sidebar here. The Bulldog just has this front post. And then, like for example, that would be another Bulldog. So even though they're called the same thing, they look a lot different and they're set up in different ways. And this one was built by a guy named Steve Turner back in 2010.
This is my favorite tattoo machine. It's a Ken Cameron liner, number 47. Really old.
So my first tattoo machine that I got in my apprenticeship was this Jonesy. And at that time, the thought of collecting tattoo machines was a relatively new idea for me. But I think being fascinated with the equipment was part of the thing that drew me into tattooing. The smells, the green soap, the cleaners. I feel like green soap is the smell of a tattoo shop. And then the equipment, there was something really kind of magnetic about it. I just don't really see the appeal of collecting, I guess, pen style machines, whereas the appeal of collecting coil machines, I think because they're more unique and hand built. But I mostly use the pen style stuff right now, or I have for the last few years. And I always look at all of my coil machines. It's almost like they're beaming back at me. They're giving me a lot of energy. And I try and set one up for most of my tattoos just to have it there. And I still use both, but primarily I use cartridge style pen stuff. One of the things that I love about my collection of tattoo machines, I've got kind of, precisely where my career started with the original tattoo machine that I have, which I still use. And then I've got the new Unicorn Magic Power Machine, manufactured by a company called Cheyenne in Germany. And then another one that was manufactured by a company here in Florida, FK Irons. And that's a battery powered one. I feel like being at both ends of, or maybe not being at both ends, but using the old stuff, staying connected to the tradition of tattooing, and where tattooing started for me and many other people, but also trying to reach into the future or keep up with what's happening. Not being consumed by gimmicks or not kind of falling prey to that is just part of being a professional, you know, and staying connected with good practices for my clients and making sure that my clients are taken care of.